So what is prior express written consent under the federal TCPA? This is important because this is the level of consent that telemarketers are required to have to do a lot of the things they want to do. For example, you need written consent in order to auto dial or auto text any cell phone, or to deliver marketing or sales related recordings, artificial or AI voices and the like. Prior express written consent can only be collected from a consumer after clear and conspicuous disclosure of a number of things. And by clear and conspicuous, that means you can't put these in fine print, hidden in a website terms of service or privacy policy, for example. It's good if they're in there, but it's not enough for TCPA. These are disclosures that have to be front and center. They've got to be right there on the consent form, ideally like next to the call to action, the phone number field, even better, right above the I agree line. Those disclosures include, for example, which telemarketer is going to call, who's going to call, which specific single brand, which technology they're going to use. Are they going to use an auto dialer, text messages, AI? You've got to tell them. You've got to tell the consumer that they're not required to consent in order to make a purchase of a good or service. And of course, the consumer has to actually click I agree or check a box or take some other very express affirmative action to evidence their consent. There may be other disclosures to add about e-sign and calls being recorded and monitored, messaging rates apply and the like, but that's basically it. What has changed is the one-to-one nature of consent. So the new one-to-one consent rule, which technically doesn't take effect until January of 2025, but is already on the books now, and a lot of regulators and judges are acting like it's always been the law. The new one-to-one consent rule says that the consumer can only give permission to one seller at a time. What does that mean? Practically speaking, no more long partner lists. No more hyperlinked lists to 5 brands or 500 or 5,000 insurance companies, for example. The consumer needs to see which specific brand is going to call about what, using what technology, etc. The FCC did say, thankfully, that an opt-in website, for example, could list different brands, each with its own unchecked checkbox, or it could have you could have a link next to each brand name where the consumer could click to visit that seller brand site and provide individual one-to-one consent directly to the sellers. Finally, there's this new standard that the website on which consent is collected needs to be logically and topically related to the offers, to the calls that the consumer are going to get. So if the website is all about finding a local job, you can't collect consent to make calls about loan consolidation and the like. Whatever the site is branded about needs to be what the offers are about. So always make sure you have the right level of written consent, and be aware of this new one-to-one consent standard and the standard that the website or other point of telephone number collection be branded about the specific offer that the consumer will hear when they're called.